Welcome back to Straight Facts. It's Monday morning. I'm joined by Jords. KJCB will be with us very, very soon as well. United stun Arsenal at the Emirates. The title race blown wide open. But I did tell you, no one's running away with the league this year. It's a hard league to win. The quality is there. Everyone struggles to win multiple games in a row. Chelsea with a big win. Liverpool in turmoil. Is Arne Slot going to be sacked? Big rumours last night. His job is on the edge. Spurs get a hard-fought draw away at Burnley. Win, unbeaten in the last two games. Brilliant from Thoms Frank. Well done to him, keeping the Spurs train rolling. All that to go through and much more. Joined today by KJ and Jords, as I mentioned. CB coming soon. How are we this morning, gentlemen?
Houston, this is the United Mars mission. We've successfully landed on Mars, and we defeated the Martians. Arsenal. I mean the Martians. And you know what? We're gonna stay here for a few more days and a few more weeks. We like it, Mars. So yeah, our head will be on Mars until further notice. Houston, and over. I'm gassing.
I do get annoyed when those people on the train station say after every sentence. I do. It took me back to those commuting days. There's only one guy that was great at that, and he works at Kingsland DLR station in East London, and he was actually really good. He was funny when he did it. He was a great guy. I don't know if he still works there. I digress. But yeah, great morning. How are you, George? How are you feeling today, my old mate, my old mucker?
Just here, getting through it. You know, one of them ones. I'm not up, I'm not down. I'm just here, just living.
It's funny. I messaged yesterday because I saw it on a timeline. You know, Mel, Spurs fan Mel. Fulham and them man there, and she kind of quoted it, and people are still. I messaged her and just said, "Are you still getting shit for that?" She's like, "Yeah." So how are you getting on? She said, "Yeah, same as most Spurs fans, just surviving." So I said, "You're the second Spurs fan to say that in the last couple of days."
When people reposted that, I saw someone saying, "Who even is that?" And I was like, "How do you not know?" That was like an iconic video at the time. Like,
yeah. Big up now, man. Yeah, big up now.
Yes. Now Mel was a great. I don't know what she's doing now. She might message you. I did message her, how you getting on, how things are doing. She'll probably message me back later. I haven't spoke to Mel in years, but just one of those content creators who just should have stuck at it. It was fantastic, absolutely fantastic. But each to their own. Look, I'm the same as you, KJ. I'm on cloud nine this morning. And I'm trying not to get suckered into all the games and the nonsense online. There's a lot of that in the United fan base. I'll give Carrick the job. Terry, you said the squad weren't good enough. You said, it's like, I still stand on everything I've said this whole time. Like, nothing's changed for me. A competent coach should get this squad winning 50 to 60% of its games, and we'll probably see that percentage over time. Equally, Mainoo should have been playing. I'm happy that he is. Bruno should be in his best position. The team, someone said to me yesterday, I think it might have been Staffy, Terry, you used to have a go at this team for not working hard. I always said they did work hard. This is proof they did work hard. Well, they've covered on average more ground in the last two games than any game under Ruben Amorim. Now, maybe that was the instructions of the manager. Maybe that's a bit more desire now. They like how they're playing. But I feel like there's always a balance in these conversations. But all that nonsense aside, because I said it yesterday and I said it again, I'm not here to fight with Man United fans when we're winning games and we're doing well. I find that all a little bit boring and pathetic. For me, we didn't spend enough time talking about this yesterday on the match reaction. I want to do it again today. United were fantastic again. And I want to go to Jords first on this because obviously you watched the game. What did you make of Man United, from a defensive point of view, the strategy in the game, and then the execution when we did attack?
You guys all good, man. I've got to give you your praises. You are better. It's very similar to that Manchester City game. I think just the setup was really good. Carrick done well and I only saw the stat that, the last time he's in charge, he beat Arsenal as well, same scoreline. He done well to set up against Arteta. He knew what to do to sort of break them down, where their pressure points would be. And you know what? To be honest, it was the individual quality that got you through that game. Dorgu has just looked a lot better in that attacking position on the left wing since he's been pushed a little bit more forward. What an amazing goal. Cunha again, another brilliant moment that saw you guys through that. But I have to say, for me, a lot of it was on, because a lot of the game, Arsenal had the possession. They had the ball, but they just didn't know what to do with it. And it's the same problem we've sort of identified with them, is they can get the ball to the final third. It's what they do with the ball in the final third where they have majority of their issues. It's very, very, very predictable. And it has been for a while, just putting the crosses into the box, hoping that little bit of moments of chaos, or it goes out to the set piece. And we saw eventually it was where they scored, was the set piece. But Man United were just better in your sort of state of play. Once you got on the ball, a lot more direct. And I think Carrick is he's focused on what players do good. How do I get the basics of managing players and coaching is what are you good at? All right, how do I elevate this? Rather than with Amorim, it's you need to fit into my system, and whatever attribute you've got good, it doesn't matter. You need to be good at this. And it's not that. It's proper coaching what Carrick has instilled. He's got confidence, that belief back into the players. And you could just see that even when they're celebrating, the togetherness they have now, that the smiles, like it generally seems like, because a couple of weeks ago when I looked at your team, it looked like they didn't have chemistry. It looked like they didn't like each other. It's like none of them wanted to be here. Now it's like they've found the love for the club and for the football again. And you guys just played really well. Carrick set you up good, and like he definitely is an underrated manager, man. He's just doing the very basics of what players do well, getting the best out of them, and your most talented players are shining right now.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that some people are kind of attacking it and doing this whole thing of it isn't a masterclass. He's not doing a great job. He's just doing the basics. The problem is when you speak to any football coach, they'll tell you that football is a simple game. And I think what the Amorims do, and we've seen Poch do this in games, and you've seen Pep do this in individual games. Sometimes they galaxy brain it. The problem with Amorim, and I think we're seeing it now, is that we were kind of galaxy braining training sessions and nearly every game, and things were getting complicated. We weren't ever playing. We barely played the same centre backs in back-to-back games, and we would then sub them in the middle of games. You're not creating that continuity as an example. I'd love to see a stat in the last 12 months, 14 months of how many times we started back-to-back league games with the same team. I think it's going to be really, really low. And from my point of view and perspective, I love what Carrick and Steve Holland have come in and done, but it's the intent. And Darren Fletcher did this in these games. We didn't win them because I don't think Darren Fletcher is as good a coach as Michael Carrick. And that is that we try and win the football matches. The intent is to go after it. We conceded and we had to ride the storm at the Emirates yesterday because they come out like a freight train, and we did it really, really well. And then their better opportunities they created, we defended, cleared and blocks. And then there's a little bit of a scuff sort of cross from Odegaard, which is interesting because, as you said, that goal came because they crossed the ball earlier and Odegaard just knocks it across the 6-yard box after a good bit of skill from Saka, and it created a goal-scoring opportunity. They need to do that more regularly, Arsenal. But we reacted in a positive way where I would hazard a guess at least 10 times under Amorim, and we did this regularly under Ten Hag as well. We concede one goal and we concede another really quickly, really, really quickly, because mentally we were fragile. And that in the last 2 games is something where we've seen an improvement in. Where I do keep my feet on the ground is there's not bigger, but different tests to come in terms of playing low blocks, games where we're expected to be more aggressive on the ball, etc. But I've just been blown away by the last 2 games, and watching Bruno back at his best is amazing. I actually feel he's not been used in his best and natural position for about 3 to 4 seasons. I feel like he's still done fantastically well. I love seeing him out at that deeper role because he gives the ball away in the attack now. It's not great, but it's what he does. You're not in as much danger. When he was giving that ball away on the edge of the box, because that's how he plays. He plays on the edge. He takes the risk. It was bad. I love seeing Kobbie Mainoo back on the team, but I want to shout out Dorgu. Again, the goal out of this world, but the improvement from this young man in the past. In fairness, it wasn't just after Amorim, because it was as soon as Amorim put him into a more attacking role. When he got put in the games where Amorim ironically changed their shape and put Dorgu into one of the winger roles, Dorgu's been a different player, an absolutely different player altogether. And I just want to give him a shout out. He might have a little bit of an hamstring injury now and miss a few games, which would be sort of typically ironic for Man United and the injury issues that we've had. But he was great again yesterday. And the goal he scored, I'm already declaring it his goal of the season. I don't see anyone scoring a better goal than that this year. It's the crossbar and in thing for me. I'm a bit old school. I'm just thinking Tony Ybarra, you two young gentlemen weren't born when that happened, most likely, or you're very, very little. It was the mad bit about Tony Ybarra scoring that volley that everyone loves. He actually scored a very similar goal about 2 weeks later. He did 2 in the same season, but a crossbar and in. And for about 10 years at school or over the park, if anyone hit the crossbar and it went in, all you'd hear from anyone in the box, Ybarra! And like Dorgu had that. Hopefully Dorgu gets that same kind of iconic moment from that, where kids do it in the playground later today. They hit that crossbar and it goes in, they're shouting his name. I hope he gets that because it was absolutely fantastic. But yeah, blown away by our performances. Going to enjoy it for a couple of days. Then I'm going to focus on Fulham, really. Then I'm going to focus on them.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where there's a lot going on in the United fan base right now. A lot of people still mourning the old manager. A lot of people still trying to give him credit for things that he didn't even do, like signing players. Like, we all know that Ineos took away the veto from Ten Hag, and that continued on to Amorim, and now apparently Amorim signed Dorgu, he signed Mbumo, he signed Cunha, when we all know that's not true. So there's a lot of things going on in our fan base right now, and it's just like, I just want us to literally, we're here for a good time, not a long time. Where everyone's talking about Carrick getting the full-time job, but it's 2 games. Let's just enjoy the 2 games. Let's just look on the pitch and see the improvements that we are and be like, you know what? This is good. Because you guys said something right there about the mentality, about the we would concede like goals back to back and players wouldn't be as running as hard and we looked a bit despondent. I do think the players were frustrated because when people say he's got nothing to do with system, I say he's got something to do with system. There's mentality issues that we got to deal with as well, but the system also didn't help the mentality issues, because I think when a player believes in the system and the roles and the instruction that they're being given, you can see it. So when we are conceding, it's no longer the heads down, we're not going to come back, we're going to concede more because we don't believe. It's now like, okay, cool, we conceded, okay, cool. It's all right, because we know our game plan will work, and we know and we believe in our game plan. And that's one of the biggest differences between the 2 managers that we've got. The game plan is something that all the players can look at and believe in. And just simply because the manager sees what I can do and highlights it. Like Jords was saying, it's no longer Amorim in press conferences, well, this player's crap at this and this player's crap at that. He's no longer shouting at Jason Walcott saying, I need an entirely new squad because they all crap at the things that I want them to do. He rarely highlighted what our players can do, what they're really good at. Is if you're not good at this one thing that I want you to do, you're gone. You're off the side, or I'm not really going to say much to you. Carrick has come in and be like, Cobby, what are you great at? Small, short spaces, controlling the ball, keeping the tempo flowing. Let's get you in a role that can help with that. Bruno, what are you good at? Creating chances, getting in, ghosting into the box, getting an opportunity to score. Let's maximize that. Dorgu, you got energy. You can go up and down the flanks. You're non-stop running. Let's utilize that. And all our players look completely different because we're utilizing their profiles correctly. And that is what I've enjoyed the most about Man United. The fact that I can look at my players and I can say to them, everyone had a 7 out of 10 because they're just doing their job. Because I don't think we were a necessarily amazing man for man yesterday. I think the Man City performance was a lot better. But we as a unit were so solid, we gave ourselves the platform for individual brilliance. The thing that we've been missing for ages.
I agree. And one thing I absolutely don't want to be lost in this is we stopped City and Arsenal, the 2 best teams in the league. So some will go, but Arsenal's attack isn't the best in open play in the league. Fair. But City's is. 2 games running, not a chance conceded in open play by Man United. Yes, shots from distance have been conceded, but I don't consider that a chance. They're a speculative effort. In terms of big chances conceded, where you go, they're going to score, not once in 180 minutes, plus injury times. You're looking at nearly 200 minutes of football, not one. We were conceding 3 or 4 a game to teams like Wolves prior. So the idea that the system, that the adaptation to the system hasn't made us better in that regard is incorrect. I don't think Amorim's system was an issue in the attack because we were creating the chances and the opportunities. Amorim's, and this is where I feel a lot of the conversations online became jarring, is that everything was polarized. It's either everything's a fault of the system, but then the system can't be the problem because we're creating chances. Players missing chances was on the players, and I still stand on that criticism. But we were so easy to play through, and that for me is more about the shape. What I felt was really interesting yesterday, people got to go back and watch it. There were times in the first half where we were sitting with the back five. We made a sub at the end of the game to go into a back five. The shape was never the issue. It was the instructions of the players and putting too many squid. And David, that used to come on our shows, spoke about this a lot when he first came on the channel, and he was right. And I want to give him his flowers for it. And it was too many players being played out of position. Now, there's definitely they can you learn from that, but at the same time, we did it with too many. Bruno too deep, mainly on the bench as an example. Our wingers playing as fullbacks and our fullbacks not being good enough as wingers in those roles. There needed to be an adaptation, and that didn't come. And I think for me, that was a major problem in that regard. Let's jump into some of the comments that have come through here. Terry, does this prove Amorim was wrongfully profiled when appointed? Yes, and that's the criticism the ownership should get. The sacking him was the right decision. It doesn't matter about the falling out with players. All of that stuff for me is a little bit of a nonsense. I don't think it really matters. The idea that he was only sacked. This is the irony. Today I'm seeing Amorim's fanboys go, but he signed all these players, but yet we know as a fact one of the reasons he was sacked is because the club wouldn't sanction signings that weren't on our list. They wouldn't give him players that were not on our short list. So the managers do get to pick the players, but they pick the players that the club deem good enough. And a lot of us have said for a long time now the recruitment is good enough.
And
but
plus
that was
complaining the players that he bought, including good enough.
It was only about 5-6 weeks ago that he was talking about Dorgu and how Dorgu's too nervous. He doesn't know how to work with him. He's too anxious. It isn't gonna happen. He spoke about Mainu can't play in the team where Bruno and Cass are on the same pitch together. We were convinced, and this is all on Ineos. Ineos shouldn't have employed him. At the end of the day, we can watch what a manager does and go, "Oh, I'd love to see that football at our club." What we don't have. This is why football fans have got to stop being obsessed with being right. Because we only ever have a fraction of the information. So when you watch Sporting play, and I went and watched them when we were linked to him, I thought, wow, look how they play. At the end of the day, we don't know because we're not able to do the due diligence. You might have some tacticos who guessed it right at the beginning and said, it's not going to work with our profile of players. But it is sometimes you don't know until you try things. And at the end of the day, our sporting directors, our ownership should be able to do the due diligence. They should be interviewing these managers and saying, these are the players we've got. This is how they play. This is their profile. Does your system work with it? Can you get us to where we want to be coaching your way with these players? They should never have hired him. One win in every 3 games was never good enough, but it was their mistake for hiring him in the first place. This super chat here says a great wake up call for Rob. We'll come back to Arsenal in a minute. We'll come back to the Arsenal stuff in a moment. Carrick has honestly done his research, especially with Dorgu, when he plays attacking for his nation. Simple stuff like this, I love and don't get mentioned enough.
And don't get it twisted as well with Dorgu. I still think at left back he'll be great, but because the role that he would have at left back, the support he would have with him in this structure, would still make him see his strengths trying through. When he was playing wing back with Amorim, he was very isolated. He had no one around him a lot of the time, and that's where you're getting frustrated with his crossing and his attacking abilities. It's kind of like, why can't you get past the guy cleanly? Or why can't you deliver from like 30 yards out a clean ball? But when they have no one around you, what do you expect? But when he's playing left wing, and I believe if he played left back as well, he will have players around him. Because we saw a moment on the wing, it was like him, Bruno, Mainu, all in the tight space, but they got the ball out the area because there's players around him. So yeah, like he's been great in his last few weeks, and I hope he keeps it up.
I couldn't agree with you more. That's been the biggest thing I've felt in terms of games outside of the defensive shape. It's the one touch intricate passing. And interestingly, Mainu has been at the center of a lot of it, and that's probably his best attribute in terms of on the ball, is just moving the ball in those tight spaces. And it brings, I'm just going to say Tiger Woods. And people have got to do some research into Tiger Woods. When he was a younger man, he wasn't great at getting out of bunkers. And his dad made him spend weeks practicing getting out of bunkers. And Tiger Woods basically turned around to his dad and said, Dad, this is just stupid. I'm only ever going to marginally get better at something I'm not good at. So why waste hours a week for that marginal improvement? Make more sense to spend those hours working on what I'm already well class at, which is driving the ball longer and straighter than anybody else in the game. So I rarely go into bunkers. That's what he dedicated his time to. And it's only a small snippet of why Tiger Woods was so brilliant and in some people's eyes the greatest to ever do it, especially at his peak. But if you've never been an athlete, maybe you don't think about it that way. But look at all other aspects of your life. You know, there's things, you're a parent, George, same as me. There's things you're good at doing. There's things you're not so great at doing. So when it comes to teaching your kids stuff, you know, one of my uncles is amazing at drawing. So I sometimes sit down and do a bit of colouring in and drawing with the kids. But if they really want to do some drawing stuff, if I can get their uncle to come round and do it with them, he loves drawing, so he's more patient with them. They enjoy it because he's very good. And sometimes you just got to know where your lane is. Does that make sense in life? And put the right people there to do it, you know? And I feel like we didn't do that with the last two managers at Man United. It was a case of too many square pegs in square holes. You don't need to abandon your philosophy either. You don't need to go, right, this is how I play football. We're going to get rid of all of it to adapt to the players and give them what they want. But it's a case of, can I make the adaptations to get the best out of Mainu, the best out of Bruno, the best out of my fullbacks, the best out of my striker? And I feel like Michael Carrick has just come in and done it. But for me, the biggest thing and the most impressive thing for me is the intent. And it's the intent to win. And for years, I've been annoyed by the parking the bus comments. You park the bus. There's parking the bus trying not to lose a game. And there's defending resolutely whilst trying to win it. And for me, that is one of the things I fell in love with watching Man United. You know, those great games against those Arsene Wenger sides in the 90s where they had the ball, they moved the ball better than we did. They played the better football, but we knew we could create a shape, create a base they couldn't break down as easily. And we knew that we would attack with 3, 4, 5 players. And as I said on Straight Facts on Friday, in my head, I thought we were going to lose 2-1. I thought Arsenal would get the job done. But I always said the whole time we could win. And the only way we would win is if we could nullify their attack, and we did it as well as we did against City. And then we had to attack with numbers and intent. And that Cunha goal, that Dorgu goal, go back and watch it, Man United fans. 5 to 6 United players in the attack each time. That isn't parking the bus. That's being conservative at the right times and attacking with intent in the right moments. And for me, that's the kind of the Man United football that I love. Against Fulham, it's going to be different. I think we'll have 60% of the ball probably at home. We'll bop it about a little bit more. We'll probably be the aggressors, and we'll have to work against not being countered. And that work will go in this week. But yeah, I loved every single second of it. I really, really did. Morning to you, Gaz, as well. Any questions you guys have got in the audience, please let us know. Be good to hear from you. Any questions you've got, anything you want to talk about on these subjects. We do like to be fan-led. We do like to be led by yourselves. And big up to everyone who's come over from the United stand as well. Really appreciate you all being here this morning. Stretford Posty says, Man United are far bigger than our opinions. Ultimately, we all want the same thing. Just some have different ideas and beliefs. None of us are oracles of football. Agree. Absolutely agree. What we have to do, though, is push the truth. And that's the only big thing for me. So we know at our club, managers don't buy and negotiate and pick the players anymore. So what I won't sit there and do is go, yeah, Amram signed these players. No, they were signed during his time at the club, but he didn't sign them. And I think it's always important to represent things correctly in that way. Was gutted as a blue, needed Arsenal to take points off you, but hey, you guys deserve the win. Listen, I think Chelsea and Man United could both make the top 4 at the expense of Liverpool. That'd be nice. Miss Bobby Louise here says, went to work this morning. One of my patients is an Arsenal fan. The joy I had winding him up. I miss times like this, just how it used to be for us older fans. Honestly, again, that's another thing people don't spoke about. First time in 8 years we've won at the Emirates in a league game. I know we won the FA Cup last year, but first time in 8 years. I was 32 years old when that happened. Just think about it. Write in the comment section how old you were 8 years ago. The last time Man United won at the Emirates. And that's one thing about this season. We've won at the Anfield and the Emirates for the first time, and I don't know how long. I just hope we can also break the Tottenham curse as well this season. We ain't beat you guys in that 5 games. That would be nice, bro.
Yeah, we haven't beat them in like 3 years, man. Crazy, man.
I think it might be like 8 games now, just to clarify the numbers. But yeah,
yeah.
It's good. This is Miss Bobby. It was 23. Mark says he was 21.
I was 21.
You were 21.
Fuck me.
That's what's crazy. That's what I mean. That's what's crazy about it. It's such a long time.
David make a great point, by the way.
Yeah.
Right.
Also, the subs in that game when Carrick brought Šeško and Cunha on, that would have been centre back instead for Amorim. Yeah.
Fun fact as well. In 2 games, Carrick subs has gotten 2 GA. In every game this season that Amorim's managed, a sub from him got 1 GA, and it was an assist from Xerxes against Leeds. So one of the last games of the season, the last game he ever managed for Man United is when finally this season a sub came on and actually made GA. But
he showed intent. We conceded, and he went. He made an attacking substitution, and this is what I mean when it comes to the sort of United DNA stuff. I don't expect rival fans to care about it or even care if it exists. It ain't for you. It's literally the same as singing North London Forever isn't for any of us. Singing You'll Never Walk Alone is for none of us. You know, there are certain things at each other's clubs that are not for rivals. It don't matter. Like, I don't believe that Man United fans can crown and tell Spurs fans who your legends are. It's ridiculous. Same as Spurs fans get no say in who my legends are. It's just fuck all to do with you because it's not your. There are certain things I can have an opinion on it, but it's almost irrelevant. And this is one thing: it's the intent to win, and it's part of our club's culture and has been since the Matt Busby. Is you try to win games. Now that doesn't mean going hell for leather and going crazy and getting beat 4-0, but you try to win games. It's the reason why we got beat 6-1 by City all those years ago. They were playing better than us and scored goals, went down to 10 men, and the players' attitude on the pitch was, no, we're going to try and get back into this game, and we got absolutely battered. But that would have upset me less than if we'd have gone 2-0 down to 10 men and then just sat behind the ball and go, oh, let's just take a 2-0 defeat. I preferred us trying to win the game still, but getting beat up than just conceding to losing. So as much as losing that way was annoying, I'd have been more offended if we went, oh, let's just sit in and take a 2-0 defeat. No, I'd rather lose 4-0, 5-0 than concede a defeat with 50 minutes of a game to go. Like, just not the way the club should behave at all. Yeah, great point there, David. We'll come to Arsenal in a minute. We'll come to your Arsenal stuff in a minute. We're talking Man United at the minute. On the game, though, Terry, are you going to talk about the handball goal given by VAR?
You know, I'm laughing because it's kind of like when these things happen for Arsenal, their men don't say a thing. Their men say, "Oh, great play from the ref." They follow the rules to the letter of the law. As soon as something goes against them, it's how is this possible? We're getting they're against us again. They always screw us over. Listen, the video wasn't conclusive for it to be a handball or not. Let's just be honest. No one can sit there and confidently say it touched his hand or not. I personally don't think it did, but I don't know. I can't really say that. It could have, but who knows? When you have something like that rule in the game, when your arm is by your hip, if the ball touches your hand, what more can you do? If the question is, how could that player prevent the handball from happening? And the answer to that question is, well, he just shouldn't have arms. Then for me, it's not a handball. It's not a handball. There's nothing much more he could have done. Same with Maguire. There's a rule in the rule book that states if a player is falling and their supporting hand is in between the player and the ground and the ball hits that arm or that hand, that is not a handball. So everyone complaining about that and the doggy thing, just let it go because they were never handballs. They're not in the rules, the handballs. Oh,
and look, Dorgu's one, it's inconclusive. Yes, the still frames make it look like he's on his arm, but when you look at it from the 3 or 4 camera angles VAR looked at, you cannot see conclusively that it hits his arm. Therefore, it cannot be given. And I said the same thing when Arsenal had a goal disallowed for a handball, I think, where it touched Kai Havertz's. I thought it was an absolute disgrace they disallowed the goal because for me, it wasn't conclusive. You couldn't see that it hit the hand. So I just keep the same energy. So that's why I don't do the agendas, because when you run agendas and say things you don't believe, you always end up looking stupid later on down the line. Like yesterday, people trying to cook me, go, oh, Terry, someone actually had the audacity to write a message to me and say, Terry, why are you celebrating individual moments of brilliance? What, the man that said we need more of it in football, not less of it. All the Man United fans celebrating those goals yesterday that for years said that they hate individual brilliance, they shouldn't be celebrating. They should be fucking hung, drawn, and quartered, metaphorically, because they're charlatans. They're charlatans. Let's have a little look here. United to finish above Chelsea and Liverpool isn't looking like a hot take no more. Been saying it since last year. I'll be honest with you. It will be the biggest L of any club in this season, I think. If Man United finish above Chelsea and Liverpool, almost irrespective to what those guys, unless they go on to win Champions Leagues and whatever else, it'll be hugely embarrassing for them, considering how poor we were last year and the money they spent, the squads they've got and everything else. If we're able to finish above them, I mean, being above them now after 22, 23 games is definitely going to hurt them, all things being considered. But we've got to focus on it now. At the end of the day, I saw United fans, when Amorim was sacked, get angry that the club had set Carrick a goal of getting into the Champions League. There was this weird, how dare they set that goal? Chelsea and Liverpool and Newcastle being nowhere near the level we thought they would be this year, Spurs even not being at the level a lot of us thought they would be this year, has opened up a door and an opportunity. Of course, your goals will change. You know, let's paint a picture and say Amorim had done really, really well and we were top by 4 or 5 points. The goal of qualification for any of Europe's competitions would change to, all right, we expect you to go on and win the league now. It's very normal, very, very normal indeed. And I hope we do it. We would deserve it, because league tables, by the end of 38 games, the league tables don't lie. And there's a lot of teams this year, boys, that are looking a little bit like Newcastle won those 3 games in a row. And then it's 2 games back to back against Wolves and Villa. They've just looked absolutely pony again. Pony.
It's the strength of the league, though. You know, you have Europa League winners down in 17th. Where are you, man? Actually, I don't even know where you guys are.
14th.
14th, 15th.
I think we can put it on the screen for you if you want, bruv. We can show you.
We're not on the first page, so I don't know if it'll fit. You know, it's like a bit hard.
Where are you at with Thomas Frank right now, bruv? Because I saw videos of the Spurs fans chanting for him to be sacked, that he's got to go. Like, where are you with him right now and everything else that's going on?
Yeah, he's got to go, man. Like, it's just awful. Everything about us is so bad. You know, going against Burnley with 5 at the back, it's red flags from the jump. I don't know if people watched the game, because obviously it was a 3 o'clock kickoff, so I know most wouldn't have, but the setup was awful. He's gone to the point of just, we don't even deploy a midfield now. We've got, there's literally a picture of where you can see all 10 of our players are stand around the outside of the pitch, pretty much in like a big circle, with nobody smack bang in the middle to collect the ball, to connect the defense and attack. We are just so bad in a lot of our sort of ways of playing. And the most unfortunate thing is, Terry, that makes this even worse, is this was one of our better performances. So even when we play pretty good under Thomas Frank, we still can't pick up points. Or we still can't win, I should say, because we picked up a point. But it's Burnley. This is awful. You shouldn't be picking up a point against Burnley. Nobody's going to be happy with a point against Burnley. So it's just terrible at this moment. Thomas Frank needs to go. I'm with those Spurs fans in chanting Thomas Frank out, and will continue to do so for the next couple of weeks. At this point, Spurs are just showing that we have no ambition, because any other club would have made the decision to sack him. What Spurs are going to do is, we've got our next 4 games, Manchester City, Newcastle, Man United and Arsenal, I believe it is, or Arsenal, Man United, whichever way it is. But we've got a tough next 4 games. He will get sacked, because he's not going to pick up points in those games. He may pick up 1 or 2, but he's not going to pick up a win in any of those. So we're going to eventually end up sacking him, but we're going to sack him after the transfer window, to the point of when, we've just wasted this whole transfer window to not improve our team, not bring in nobody for a new manager, or it's just a mess. It's just a mess. Spurs don't even look like they're trying to bring in a new manager. I'm not seeing links to Spurs speaking with this person, Spurs. So at this point, like I said earlier, I'm just accepted of where we're at. We're going to finish in the bottom half of the table. You might as well put the top in the bag. And when it comes to any games we have till now, I don't expect to win. I don't really have no confidence. I don't have an expectation. So whether we win or lose, or even if we win the game, like let's just say we go and beat Arsenal, what does it mean? We're still going to finish 12th. I can't even celebrate it. Like, so there's generally nothing to be happy about when it comes to my club right now.
You know what's crazy is the fact that your highest goal scorers and the ones that get you out of trouble are your centre backs. Like, if that was United, that was Chelsea, that is concerning that your forwards just can't score. And yeah, I don't know. Frank, I generally thought would come in, make you guys solid, and with the pace that you have out wide, I generally thought Spurs would just kick on and be like, right, Ange was too gun-ho. You got someone who's a bit more pragmatic. You're gonna like utilize your squad in a better way, but it's just failed to do that, and it's just failed to adapt to a big league, and it's basically just Nuno Santo all over again. And yeah, it's peak, man. But Jords, who would you want though? Like, obviously, like we all know he shouldn't be there. So who would you want to come in?
Yeah, ambitious. Let's go out there and get one of the big names available. Go. And obviously, most people are going to say they're unavailable. Shabby, all these guys are probably a bit too good for Spurs. But ultimately, money talks. Spurs have paid, when we had Antonio Conte, he was the highest paid manager in the Premier League. I think below maybe Pep only. So Spurs have the money to convince managers to come in. That's all it takes. Go be ambitious. Go get a manager of that type. If not, go get another manager. But go get a manager that's proven you that he's won stuff. I'm just tired of getting these Thomas Frank, these mid-level managers, these managers that haven't proven anything. I said it when this time last year when I wanted and sacked. I said the key thing is we need someone that's proven at winning to some level. Now I don't expect them to be a Champions League winner or you know a top league winner, but just someone who's proven won stuff before, can come in with a winning mentality, knows, similar to Ange. The one thing I'll give to Ange, whether you didn't like his tactics or not, he's very captivating in what he said and when he was talking, and you would believe in him because he actually doubled down on his principles a lot of the times. With Frank, he just looks like a coward. He looks like someone that you won't believe, someone that you won't back. The players have already like sort of fluffed him off many times, and at this point, we've got like our defenders as our most dangerous players. That says a lot about him. So yeah, other managers, I'll be honest, KG, there's not like, we all know, I'm sure for yourselves, when you're looking at the managerial pool, there's not loads of managers to choose from right now. So it's a case of Spurs being smart and actually going out there and doing the right scouting to find the right one. But
would you take Glasner? Because you basically described Glasner, proven winner, mentality, understanding. Yeah. Is that someone that you would usually put all your eggs in a basket for?
I wouldn't put all my eggs in a basket, but I'd take Glasner 100%. I think Glasner comes into Spurs. Obviously, we all understand that he is a bit disruptive in some sense. You know, if he's not happy, he makes it very clear. And I think at Spurs, that could present an issue. But at the same time, when you look at his team, his tactics, the way of playing, Spurs have a lot of players that fit his type of system. So I definitely think that he'd come in and be good for us. I'd take Glasner 100%.
Yeah, look, it's an interesting one with Glasner because I sort of feel a bit like whenever you watch Palace's games, yesterday was a great example. It's a decent segue into Chelsea as well. Whenever his teams have large percentages of the ball, they don't win. I heard a stat, so I'm going to slightly make this up because I don't quite remember it, but it's like his win percentage when he has more than 55% of the ball is somewhere in the region of about 15%. Now, I get you might argue that Spurs have better players. I don't know how many more are better than the Crystal Palace. The Crystal Palace has got some really, really good players. That's the reason why I don't want him at Man United. As much as he went on that great 19-game unbeaten run or whatever it was and won the FA Cup, it was amazing. Whenever Palace, and that's why Chelsea got it right yesterday. Chelsea, for me, let Palace have the ball for large parts of the game and then just caught them. And it was actually really sensible and smart by Liam Rosenior. That would be my concern with Oliver. I think you lot need a manager that plays nice football. I think you've got to go and get someone like a De Zerbi because you lot should change your Emily. You should speak to Newcastle and do a deal. Why don't they can change it to something else? An actual castle would make more sense. When I was younger, I always felt it was weird that Everton have got a castle and Newcastle have a magpie. I always felt they should have a castle, right? Anyway, you lot should get the magpies. You lot shouldn't be the cocks. You should be the magpies. Because you like shiny things, and that will keep you a nice, pretty football. And Spurs fans are in cloud nine, bliss. You could be 14th if your football was good. You guys would be happy. So I'm exaggerating a little bit, but I think De Zerbi's your guy. I think you should go and get De Zerbi.
He'd be a good option, definitely. I think the way he plays football, obviously him as a manager is really good, but I don't know if Spurs can get him away from Marseille at the moment. They're building a pretty good project. He's getting a lot of like talented players in, and I don't know if Spurs are going to be able to take him away from that job right now. So yeah, we're not that attractive. That's the thing. The Spurs aren't that attractive right now. Our directorship, sort of our board, the lack of ambition, it's not something where managers are going to come in and be like, that's the place I want to be. So it's tough. Like even me trying to think of managers that will even come to Spurs right now, it's a very small pool.
Yep, I hear you on that completely. Viewers, like, share, and subscribe. Give us your thoughts on that. I just want to just slightly go back to the Man United game. On Arsenal, what for them now? Because, of course, the Amram outers, they get to pay their rent because they get to have a really good 24, 48 hours of going in on their club. I was hearing calls last night to sell Odegaard, sack them. It was great. TikTok was quite fun last night, watching the meltdowns. But they are winless in their last 3 Premier League games. That cannot be pushed aside. What do they need to do to get back to winning ways? Is this just a wobble? Or can either yourselves, CB, Jords, see an implosion here for the Gunners?
I knew this was coming. We know how they are, you know. I call them in my house the December champions. You know, my little brother, my mum's Arsenal, older brother. I call these men the December champions. We've seen this so many times. I said it previously I think last time I was here on Monday. I said that the way they play football isn't sustainable. They're not scoring from open play. Eventually, the cracks will start to show. They're papering over them very well. They're grinding up wins very well, but there's only so much you can do under a system that doesn't allow their attacking players to be platformed. And after a while, it's starting to show. I'll be honest, I'm obviously upset that you guys are above us in the league now due to that result, but I am so happy. You guys, like, it felt like real football won yesterday. But in regards to Arsenal, I think now this is when the test of if these guys are really mentally ready to be champions begins. If they drop points against Leeds and City win, it could be 4 points. It could be 1 point. It can get scary. So this is when now they get tested. But to be honest with you, I don't think they should take this. I think the fans are overreacting a bit. They're still 4 points clear on the table. I look at the way they're unbeaten in the Champions League, 2 goals conceded. They're not down and out. But I think you guys are given a blueprint. I looked at that game like, okay, I'm licking my lips for the second leg of the Carabao Cup. That I know if I'm feeling like that, I know multiple different fan bases coming across Arsenal and like, yeah, this is the opportunity now. You draw blood. Let's get them while they're wounded. But I think the fan base are overreacting just a bit, but it's PTSD as well, so I don't blame them.
Rob says this here: if Arsenal fans are having meltdowns in January, they're not cut out for a title challenge. I do think there is some truth in this. I just spent some time this morning. I actually went back and watched one last night, watched a United 07-08 league title win. Just went back and watched the games. You know, they're not on DVD anymore, but it's like putting a DVD. And I went back and watched it. So I just wanted to make sure I was remembering things right. And then I went and looked at our games. These things happen in title races. And I saw Rory Talks Football, who I've got a lot of time for, worked with Rory, good guy. He said something this morning I just fundamentally disagree with, which was nervous performances create nervous atmospheres. Nervous atmospheres create nervous performances. It's up to the elite sportsman to break the cycle. And I get the point of view, but equally, we have a job in this, supporters. And I think sort of saying, we're going to throw our toys out the pram, we're going to lose our minds, we're going to panic, we're going to stop singing, we're going to get really nervous, we're going to overreact to CB has said because you're not delivering. Again, if you know there's a cycle, I know you want the players to be the ones to break it, but why don't you try to break it by criticize yesterday, but get back to supporting your team. The media's, listen, this is what's mad. All the media outlets today, there's some bad stats around Arsenal at the minute with their goals and their attacking, and it's there to be criticised. But the same platforms 24 hours earlier were pushing the narrative. This Arsenal team is so good, they have to win a treble minimum. 24 hours later, look how bad they are. What you have got to do as Arsenal fans is not get suckered into that game. Put your arm around your players and say, let's go, boys. Yes, you might want a certain guy sold at the end of the season. Yes, you might not like your manager that much. So what? Isn't your club more important than the petty point scoring? Like, I agree with Rob here 100%. As much as there's things to be criticized and you should do it, put your armor. Losing your mind now is not going to help your team get over the line. I guarantee this. You're not Real Madrid. Fuck off with the white hanky bullshit. You're Arsenal. You're not Real Madrid. No disrespect. You're never going to be. You're probably never going to be Real Madrid. Do you know what I'm saying?
The same patterns again and again. They've come to a point now where this is what their fourth year competing now, challenging. If they're noticing the same patterns again and again, and things aren't changing in the managerial aspect, certain players in terms of their spine. Like, I know some people actually generally don't really rate Saka, the Arsenal fans. They might be looking at this like, this is the same pattern that we've been going through year in, year out. Things aren't changing. At what point do we call this up?
I agree. I don't disagree with that. But for me, the point you call it out is at the end of the season. Why? Because if it is the cycle, so if you're right and there is a cycle, another big part of that cycle is get the banners out. Let's want the manager out. Let's go crazy online. And it always falls apart. How about you break your part of that cycle as fans? And you can criticize the game and say, Saka weren't good enough today. This sub was wrong. This shouldn't have happened. But how about you break your cycle of having the crazy meltdowns now and adding additional pressure? Let's just say it's true. The players struggle with the pressure. Let's just say that's 100% true. Why add more pressure to them? Like, think about it logically. My players really can't handle pressure that well. What's your remedy as a fan for that? I'm going to fucking hold the standards and put more pressure on them. That doesn't make sense. If you know they're going to crumble under it, help to remove the pressure, right? And help to make them feel more relaxed. That's the only, again, I'm an outsider here looking in. And I just look at it and I don't think you're wrong, CB. But it's when you then put that, you know, imagine your kids. This is how I look at it. Your kids, you know, when you like start letting your kids, or you guys, only me and Jords have got kids, but maybe when you were a kid, you're like, oh, can I carry the tea in on the tray, mum? And it's like, okay, but be careful. You know, you're a little nervous and it's like this. Imagine your mum was over your shoulder and you're going to fucking drop it, aren't you? You're going to drop it, aren't you? Your kid's going to drop it on the, that's how I view it. There's times where you go, you'll be fine. You won't drop it. You think they might, but you don't want to tell them they're going to. And I think, although that's again, a little bit of a childish example, I think the psychology is very much the same. Arsenal fans scorching earth right now, you are damaging your club's chances of winning the league title, in my personal opinion. So criticize, yes, but I agree with CB. I think some of you are overreacting massively.
It's a good thing that CB weren't younger in his gooning years, because boy, that camera dropping would have been techie, bro.
That weirdly went crazy viral 3 weeks after you said it this week.
Yeah.
Because obviously I've been getting onto people's standards with the club, so they've turned into CB's a Chelsea, used to be an Arsenal fan. That's what they're trying to do.
In fairness, KJ was defending you everywhere, and I'm like, KJ, we should just let it happen. Just let it happen. Do you know what I mean? Stop defending him. In fact, I think I tweeted someone back actually. Now, someone added me saying, I can't believe you got this fake Chelsea fan on. And I just said, it doesn't mean that kind of gooning. And he then DM'd me going, I just Urban Dictionary what gooning means. He went, I can't believe he said that. I was like, yeah, it's not.
You know what it is? Yeah, I'm in agreement with you, Terry. I think what Rory said is more about the fan base than it is the players. I think the fan base create a very nervous atmosphere at the Emirates ground, online. They create the nervous energy surrounding Arsenal entirely because of what CB said, which is also right, PTSD. They've got PTSD of not achieving and failing to achieve and bottling it at the last moment so many times, getting first and then falling away after having a lead, that many of them just wait for that moment like yesterday to be like, oh, this is where it starts. And everyone wants to be ahead of the curve. Everyone wants to be like, oh, I said when it was started, I told you on the Man United game that we were going to downfall, and we downfalled in the Man United game. And that's what a lot of it's about, rather than, like you said, regrouping, gathering, and just being like, you know what, we can acknowledge that this was a bad game and it's been a bad couple of weeks, but also we are still better than everyone. We're going to improve and so on. And they've got to try and find another way to approach it. I do think that it is another sign of Arsenal's, like CB said, though, in my personal opinion, of why they won't win the league eventually, because like you said about some of the attacking players, you've got all of their best players. You've got Saka, no goals in 13 games. Gyökeres, no non-penalty goals in 11 games. Martinelli, 13 games, no goals.
Yeah.
25 games for Madueke, and 1 goal in 11 for Trossard, who's probably been their best attacking player all season. Their attack just doesn't flourish under this manager. He has failed to do so, and actually failed to build a sustainable attacking system since 3 years ago, when he put his foot off the handbrake. You know, he pulled the handbrake up, put his foot off the pedal, and said, you know what, we're going to focus on being defensively good. Even now, in the January transfer window, the first link we saw them to have was for a defender. That goes to show you the pragmatism of this manager. Their problem is that, yes, you can stop teams from scoring goals and so on, but you need to find a way to create more dangerous situations for yourself. You can't rely on just crossing, creating moments of chaos from set pieces. Set pieces and own goals being your first and second top goal scorer at this point of the season is dreadful. You're first in the league. They're first in the league, and their highest goal scorer has got 5 goals. Now, some fans, which are going to be deluded, are going to paint it that we spread the goals around the team. No, you're not spreading the goals around the team. You just don't have any of your top players performing. Gyökeres was brought in to be a 15 to 20 goal a season striker. Saka is supposed to be a 10 to 15 goal a season player. He's been pushing on. He's done seasons like this in the past. He's now 24. He's not a young player anymore. We now need to start holding players accountable for not showing up. Last season, when Phil Foden had a terrible year, all we heard last year was justifications as to why Saka is now better than Foden after having 1 good season. And Saka was injured half of last year, but they still used the bad season of Foden to justify why Saka's better. Now Saka's being terrible, and they're not going to talk about it. They're going to say, but it's injuries, you know, he's not being used enough. And they'll make all the excuses in the world, but Saka's not performing. He's 24, 25 years old. We've got to start holding these players accountable. Odegaard is not performing. Odegaard, I think a lot of Arsenal fans are getting to the point of accepting that he's not the world-class creator number 10 that many thought he was. He's good in the 8 at sort of, you know, keeping the tempo, keeping the ball moving. He's very tidy. But when you play him and Zubimendi in the team together, it doesn't make no sense. You've got 2 players that are tempo setters that are looking to do the exact same thing on the pitch. And Arteta's just, again, showing himself he's very pragmatic, too safe. And if Arsenal are going to go win this title, they need to take more risks. He needs to be more risk averse.
Personally, I agree with you, man, with the taking more risks. And I think it also just comes down to the speed of play. When they play quick, that's when Arsenal look dangerous. When they're like on it, when they're actually trying to get the ball quickly into the forwards, quickly into the wingers, and not holding on to it, they look dangerous. But Arsenal have this tendency to recycle, like try and suffocate a team. And yes, that is a valuable tactic. But when a team is set and ready for that, you need to change it up. And I think that's where Arteta gets it wrong sometimes. That yes, he brought Madueke on onto the pitch, but I feel like he did it too late. Actually, no, did he come on the 58th minute? Sorry.
No, Madueke came on later in the game. He came on. I want to say it was like the 80th minute or something along those lines. Yeah. It might have been a little bit earlier, but he came on in the 75th minute.
But I think that's just a bit too late, because you know what Madueke is. He needs time to warm up. He's not going to instantly come on and get you GA, because we've seen his end product. So you need him on there to warm up and feel the game. So you bring him on earlier, because he's different. He will run at defenders. He will cause problems. And he will try and make something happen at speed. The problem is Saka. I like Saka. I really like Saka. He's a very, very solid player. But I've noticed recently he doesn't play with speed. There's always a stutter. There's always a moment where he just tries to take his time with it. But I'm like, God, you're a talented player. Go and just run at a guy and don't worry about recycling it. Go and make something happen. And this is where someone like Odegaard, again, too many times you're just thinking, like, okay, I need to make sure it looks like it's decent. I need to make sure I've got time to do things. You don't have time. Everyone's set. You got to make things happen. Ironically, the one time he did something quick, which is, people say it's a cross, I think he actually was shooting, which is a poor shot. So he did something quickly, and an own goal happens because speed. Teams don't like speed. Man United, we don't handle speed well. We've seen it many times this season. When a team is quick, dribbling at us, running at us through the midfield, on the wings, we struggle against that. As soon as they just take their time, possession, all these things. It's one of those ones where it's like, yeah, Pete, give time to set in. So Arteta needs to find a way to get these guys to be more confident, to play quicker, because they're not bad players.
I hear that. Sorry, go on, CB. So, go on, bro.
I think another thing that's been understated is Zubimendi in these big games. Zubimendi was brought in obviously as the improvement and replacement for Thomas Partey. But for example, against Liverpool, he gave away the free kick, which subsequently led to the Szoboszlai goal. Stupid free kick at the time. Yesterday, the back pass for Mbeumo's goal. It's been multiple occasions this season when it's actually the big games against big six sides, and Zubimendi doesn't show up. And I think that cost him. I think he's costing them in that aspect. But he's not the only one. I look at a lot of these players that when it's actually crunch time, they don't rise. And it's very interesting for me. Like, for example, Eze, 65 million. Gyökeres, 60-odd million. If these were Chelsea players who are not performing like this, 5 goals, regardless of where we are on the table, we know the scrutiny that they will be getting. I don't understand why it's not the same. Like Madueke hasn't got a goal in the league in 365 days. No one says that. That's 50 million. They've actually ended up sending their academy product, Wanyeri, who was a hot prospect, stunting his pathway and sent him on loan to Marseille, who scored in his debut. If Chelsea were doing these things, the conversations would be spooky, regardless of where we are on the league table. I don't appreciate it.
Where I disagree with you, CB, if you were top of the league, your strategy wouldn't be getting questioned. It's because you're 5th in the Premier League. It is. I think that when City were winning everything, but Grealish was bang average, how much scrutiny was there on that £100 million deal? There was very little, if we're being absolutely honest. Man United, for instance, he's barely kicked the ball in the last 2 games, but no one in the last 2 matches has done anything about our £65 million striker not scoring goals. Why? Because we won 2 games. I think when you're winning, when you're top of the league, when you're the best team so far in Europe, I understand your point that some of these, Eze has been nowhere near what everybody expected so far. Gyökeres, very, very similar. The problem is when the team is achieving, there is always less criticism of the structure, the recruitment and individual players when you are where they are, to be fair. And I think that's the same for everyone's clubs when they're doing well. Does that make sense? But when you're struggling, everything is kind of analysed with a fine tooth comb, as it were. I do get you.
And I think it needs to be, though, because we remember early on in the season when Liverpool winning a lot of games, weren't playing great, and people ignored it because they were winning games and they were top of the league at that point. Arsenal are going through sort of a similar run right now where they're not playing amazingly, but they've managed to get through and still win games and still, pick points up. And some of these things have just continuously been ignored. Whenever we speak about Gyökeres, only the last couple of weeks, Arsenal fans have started to accept Gyökeres might not be the guy. But up until then, it was we're top of the league. It doesn't matter what Gyökeres does. I'm still hearing from Arsenal fans, as long as we win the league, Gyökeres has been brought in and he's done his job regardless of however many goals he scored. And I just think that far too often we're sort of reducing the argument to just be that the start, the end, the mean and the end. So the outcome, if the outcome is they win the league, then none of these arguments counts. Which isn't the case. We have to address some of these players that aren't performing, especially the likes of Eze and Gyökeres, who are brought in to elevate this team, but haven't done anything to show us that that's the case.
But then can you not argue with those 2 guys, especially that Arteta is not playing to their strengths, especially Gyökeres, because they don't play in a way where he's just running channels. Like they try and make him a hold-up guy, like Havertz at times, and he's just like, that's not him. You know what I mean? He needs to be running channels. He needs to be just pulling one. Because when he came on against us and he's running the channels, he looked a bit dangerous. Obviously, he had that funny moment where he went for a shot cross. I don't know what it was, but he did a clearance. But he was looking more dangerous when he was doing the things that he's good at. We're talking about Man United and players just doing the things that they're good at and maximizing them. I don't think I can look at Gyökeres and Eze and say they're being maximized in what they can do. So maybe it's a thing with Arteta. And again, I thought Arteta would do this, maybe adapt a bit more to these new signings that he's got and then make it easier for them.
I agree with you. I agree with you in the sense that he isn't a platform in his attacking players. But in regards to Gyökeres, I just think Gyökeres is a very limited striker. If you think of the fundamentals you'd want from a striker, his back-to-goal game isn't really strong. His link-up game is a bit shaky. hold up ain't that great. Aerially, he's not that much of a threat. The only strengths he really has is the channels. When you play for a Big Six team and you're facing low blocks every week, you don't really have the option to play these players in the channels. I think that's a recruitment issue, because I don't think he suited the system that they played with anyway. I think he was like a name. They saw the stats. He was a name that the fans would get excited over. But I think Šeško would have suited them stylistically more than Gyökeres did, and that's who Arteta actually pushed for. So it's a tough one. I think Arteta actually done a brave move, benching him today and playing Gabriel Jesus. That was a big move to do. Obviously, off the back of the Inter Milan game, he did well, but I think stylistically, in the way that suits the system, Gabriel Jesus starting made a lot of sense. What I wanted to ask you guys there, obviously when Noni came on, Saka got moved to the left wing position, and I've seen Ferran Torres come off the bench for Barcelona, Brahim Diaz come on the bench for Real Madrid. I've never seen Vini Jr. get moved to the right wing position to accommodate Brahim Diaz, or Ferran Torres moving Lamine Yamal to the left to accommodate him. What does that mean in terms of what
Saka's just not that good, bro? That's what that means. Saka's just not that good, bro. You name the players
the best in the world in his position. Like, we've heard this for years. Like, that's kind of mad, no?
Do you know what it is? If you had an Arsenal fan here, that would land very well, because then you'd start hearing some kickback from that one. But I think we all probably we are probably all in agreement that Saka probably, when it comes to the Premier League, he's definitely one of the best with regards to consistency, maintaining a good level. But I feel like he's the epitome of what we notice with English players. I feel like a lot of them they're consistent at a good level, but not too many of them go to that next level to really be the best in their class. I think you see that with Rice as well. Very good at like the English level. He's top and he will maintain a consistency. But when it comes to being in that next class, I just don't know if he's
although ironically, Saka's doing much better in the Champions League than he is in the Premier League at the minute in terms of delivering in-game scoring goals. I look at it this way. I get the angle you're coming from. Where I would throw in a counter is a lot of Arsenal fans have been saying every time Arteta makes a sub, it's always like for like. So if he takes the left winger off, it's another left winger that comes on. I felt what he was trying to do yesterday, and Saka still kept on cutting on the inside and his right foot. It was, again, not annoying me to watch it because I wanted him doing it. But from a footballing perspective, I was watching it and going, why are you doing that? Because I thought what the idea was is for Saka to go on the outside. You've now got a poacher in the box. Go on the outside. First time crosses on the left foot. So hopefully your striker can get across his man. And he didn't do it regularly enough. And I actually think Arteta did the right thing there, because the one thing I'd say about Arsenal that would be my biggest criticism of their attack, and this is where, when football fans, there's an irony, a beautiful low IQ irony in this. You get fans go, oh, I want to see style and play. I want to see patterns. I want to see the same thing over and over again. That's how it becomes easy to defend against. Because if we as fans can see the pattern, of course the fucking coaches of opponents are going to see the pattern. What you actually need is disruptors. What you need is to go, right, Saka. Fergie did it all the time. The amount of times Ronaldo started getting moved to the left-hand side. Why is Rooney on the right now? Confusion. So for me, I think it's the right thing to do. I get your point about Vinicius Jr.'s not moved over to the other side. Maybe that's why they've been so fucking imbalanced for the last 18 months as a team. Maybe they should try some things like that to throw teams off. And I think that's a sensible thing to do sometimes. But that being said, in the league, and I was talking to Henry Wright earlier today about this. We recorded a show this morning. He's in bits after the terrible loss of his team Arsenal this weekend. But I was looking at the stats, and these don't read well. They are poor from their attackers in this regards, in terms of no goals in these games and everything else. And they need to improve on that. These players do. They really, really do. It's actually crazy that when you read, if you don't know anything about this season, if you showed that stat in isolation and said, you think this team's top of the league and clear by 4 points and the best team in the Champions League, you'd go, no chance. But they have been. So I think the criticism of Arsenal needs to be there. But as I said earlier, I do think there's too much that's going on at the minute. As you say, Sky Sports, and no disrespect to Lee Hendry, I don't think he thought of this. I think the producers have made him say it. Gary, because it's the timing of it, right? Carrick has an article on it. Sky Sports and Talk Sports do big talking points on it all on the same day, all three media outlets, that this Arsenal team is so good, it has to win a treble as a minimum. That's basically the message, to look how bad they are. So then my view is, well, hang on, if Arsenal really are that bad, shouldn't the main criticism be on the Liverpools and the Chelseas and the Cities for letting them be ahead of them, as opposed? So I just get confused because it seems like we change the narrative every couple of days. But Arsenal players do need criticism, especially for the weekend. I actually think the players were more of a problem yesterday than Arteta was. I actually think Arteta did what a lot of their fans are asking for. They changed it up. They threw on attacking options early. But I want to give Man United credit too. And that's the one thing why I'm finding it hard to go completely in on Arsenal. 2 games running, and everybody's forgetting this. 2 games running, we've stopped the best 2 teams in England from creating a single chance from open play. Now, for me, that isn't just because Arsenal and City were bad at attacking on the day. That's how we also set up. But the response now from Arsenal is going to be massive. Let's look at some of the comments that have come in here from some of our viewers today. We've already spoken about United. I'm sorry, Rob. We're enjoying ourselves.
Someone asked why. Twisted Bubba asked why we're talking about Arsenal. United won, and it was
Twisted Bubba was here at the start. So Twisted Bubba, sometimes you really are a prat, aren't you, mate? By the way, everyone, he'll laugh at that because that's what he's trying to be. A good wake-up call for Arsenal. I did say before the game that your attack was better than ours. Odegaard and even Eze would have come on, kept slowing our attack down. Credit where credit is due. United were better. Appreciate the honesty there, Nikhil. And yeah, look, I think individually there's a case for our attack being better. I think it's fair, but it's also about timing and form. People might not have said that 3 months ago, 2 months ago. It's sometimes it's the here and now. But yeah, I'm very, very happy with what we did yesterday. I see Arsenal's weaknesses: play football on their grounds.
Oh, they play football on the ground. So don't play it in the air and stuff like that. Which is, I get that.
Dreaming of 95, 96. There are Man United fans because we've clawed back a 12-point gap in the past at this stage. Yeah, I mean, this is what's interesting. If you really do think that Arsenal are a bang average team and the league is rubbed out and poor, then a new manager bounce could theoretically do it. But no, I also checked the odds this morning, 50-1 for Man United to win the league from here. It's not going to happen. But
I wonder how much it was during Amarim's time and like before.
Well, up until 2 weeks ago, it was 200-1.
Oh, hey, Carrick, sign the thing, man.
What would be interesting on the odds is if
full time, yeah.
I'm not against it. Like, I need to see more. I'm not here. When I say it, I'm joking, but like on a serious one, I need to see how the season goes, and I need to see who else we're profiling and what we're trying to do as a club before I can actually say 100% give him a job. But I don't think he should be ruled out of it either. We need to just wait and see, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, me and KJ probably agree on this more than anything at the moment. It's not even about the wins; it's about the performances in the 17 games he's going to manage. He had 2 of them. He's been the better team against the best 2 teams in the league. But now it's on to Fulham, West Ham, Spurs. Because for me, if we get towards the end of that season and the vast majority of the games we've played really well and we've won a lot of the games and we've made it into the top 4, he has to be one of the top candidates. I'm not saying we shouldn't interview and push for Luis Enrique's and the like. The issue I've had with a lot of the discourse around it is too early to. I wouldn't give him the deal today. I think that would be absolutely ridiculous because there's more tests ahead, and we shouldn't get dragged in by the romance. We should be looking at the data. We should be looking at the performances. We should be looking at the football more so than anything else. But the risk is you say no to Carrick now. You listen to certain United fans go, no, Carrick, no matter what you do, you ain't got the job. And you throw your eggs into the Luis Enrique basket, and then at the end of May, he goes, I'm signing a new deal with PSG. You look fucking stupid, don't you? Because at the end of the day, there isn't, other than Luis Enrique, and I know Flick's at Barca and doing well, but that high line scares the shit out of me in the Premier League. It scares it's not the Liga. We don't have all the dominance financially. Outside of Luis Enrique, I can't think of another manager who doesn't also come with loads of red flags or loads of concerns. Do you know what I'm saying? So Carrick has to be on the list, but I wouldn't do it today. I think today would be too early. Morning, Terry and Co. I am still just vibes on Man United, enjoying the wins, but not getting gassed. I am waiting for the summer to see what we do. Listen, Ray, enjoy it. And this is the one thing I would say. I'm so excited about the Fulham game now. I can't wait to. I've dreaded Man United games for 2.5 years. Like, oh, when are we playing? Oh, I don't want to play this game. I'm going into a game one of the first times in a long time, feeling confident, happy, excited. So yeah, well done to.
See you back, baby. You know what I'm saying?
Carrick.
I need to run up midnight vibes.
Do you know what? For me though, I will say this. I would love Carrick to be a success, stay, and then be the right guy for us and fix us and get us back into the title race and win us trophies, because there'd be an irony. When we signed him as a player from Spurs, there was protests and frustration that he wasn't the right guy. We should have got Hargreaves. Fans hated the deal by and large. I didn't. Love Michael Carrick. And that's because my dad, for about 2 years, rammed him down my throat like, oh, look how good he is. Look how good my midfielder is at Spurs. And he was. It would be beautiful again.
Pause.
You got to pause that. That's crazy. That rammed him down your throat. That is not.
Yeah, my dad was gooning like you, bruv. That's all it was. Try it, son. You might like it. No, Dad, no. But stop it, Dad. Get away. But yeah, I'd love history to repeat itself and for fans to know to Carrick, this ain't right. I'd love for him to repeat history as manager. That element of football, again, I wouldn't sign him to try and prove that. He has to be good enough to get the job. But that's the romantic side of football I like. I would love for that to happen again. Chelsea are 4 wins from 5 with Liam Rosenior, CB. 4 wins from 5.
Yeah, man. I'm actually like, I'm in a weird position because, you know, I'm finding a lot of our fans are not happy every time we win games. It's weird, and it's for 2 reasons. One of them is the Maresca cult. You are like waiting for the "I told you so" moment, and it hasn't really happened yet. And then the other side is obviously the blue coat outside, who's like, "You're back in this, yes, man. We should lose games. We should finish outside the top 4 so we can put pressure on." I'm like, bro, like I'm finding like. I think because I've been talking about Chelsea more, like, let's say professionally, I'm actually talking about Chelsea, that I feel like the fan aspect is being lost. People aren't really fans anymore. It doesn't feel like they're fans anymore. Everyone has their own agendas or reasons why they have certain stances and they want to be proven right. I've stripped all the layers away. I actually just want to go back to the basics of what I actually just want to see my team winning games. I think it's very unfortunate that we conceded that goal yesterday because defensively, I think we've improved a lot. This would have been, if we didn't concede, that would have been 3 clean sheets in the bounce. We haven't done that since November. This was our first away win in the league since November 22nd. Crystal Palace, Maresca hadn't beat Glasgow in 3 attempts. Liam Rosenior does it in his first attempt. That doesn't mean I think, he's a massive improvement or whatever, but I'm just looking at these, the statistics in isolation. I think we've been top. Esteval finally starting a league game and he got a goal. That's great to see. I'm taking every game as it goes. I would say though, seeing you guys' performance at the Emirates makes me confident about going to the game. I bought my ticket last week for that second leg, and everyone's telling me that's a suicide mission. Like, we're losing. You're just gonna go there to get yourself pissed off. But I've watched you guys' performance. That's the first time they lost all season at the Emirates, so it's doable now. Dare I say it? If he gets me a Wembley trip, we win the trophy and we get top 4, I think he's bought himself some time, to be honest with you.
I've got a question for you. What do you feel about, because a lot of people complain about certain things when Maresca was doing, like playing like James in midfield, inverting fullbacks, and all these different things. But yet, Liam Rosenior's come in and he's done very similar things to Maresca. Not completely the same, but similar things to Maresca. What are Chelsea fan base saying about those things now? Are they just saying it will take time for things to develop, or are they angry about it, or what's happening?
What's actually happening is the Maresca cult are highlighting the similarities and saying, there's a double standard here. You guys wanted Maresca gone and he's still inverting his fullbacks. We're still seeing XYZ, but I don't know if you watched the Chelsea game, but for the penalty that we won, I thought for the first time in 8, I'm even tearing up just thinking about it. For the first time in 18 months, I saw Reece James overlapping and crossing the ball into the box. That's something that that's for me. I think Reece James on the overlap, putting the ball in the final third. He's one of the best in the world at that, especially in his position. We haven't seen that for 18 months. We was told he was managing his body and he couldn't bomb forward anymore. He might break his leg and retire and all sorts of stuff in regards to him just overlapping and putting across it. He done that yesterday, and that was so refreshing to me because that's a big thing that our fan base wanted. It wasn't about inversions. Obviously, seeing Gusto playing the 10 is weird. Like that's something that against Atalanta was a big complaint against Maresca because Esteval and Andre Santos were on the bench, and then we had Cucurella and Gusto in the 10. So that's where like the inversion stuff comes from. But really, the complaint has always been playing Reece James as a traditional right back with an overlap. We used to have our wingers holding width with no overlap options, and it was very difficult to break these teams down, especially back fives. That's another improvement that we've got under Liam Rosenior. He's won 2 games against Brentford and Crystal Palace against a back five. If you look at the points we dropped this season, barring Manchester United and Arsenal, they've been back five. Sunderland back five. Leeds back five. Bournemouth 2 times back five. Brighton got the red card, so that was a back four, but we got the red card, same as Man United. But we struggle to break down teams with a back five due to our system not having the overlap options and all of that. And that's something that's been a big difference under this manager. Like I said, it's very, like you guys with Carrick, it's too soon. I don't know if I want to give him that full autonomy in terms of being our manager moving forward, but I like what I've seen so far.
Do you know what's interesting? I love what you said right at the start, where fans have forgot the fan element. And there is some truth in that. And we can have conversations. I was asking Don on Friday, does he have any concerns about seeing the inverted nature of players? And I was actually thinking about it with your starting lineup yesterday. I remember a lot of people that were frustrated at Bluco and Maresca's approach. That why are you starting Pedro as a striker again? And yesterday he did quite well. And I think sometimes you've got to wait and see whether there's because I saw João Pedro talk after your game and he said that Liam Rosenior is trying to make us play with a lot more intensity compared to what Maresca did. So sometimes it's subtle changes like more intensity or less intensity, depending on your approach, that can change things rather than the positions people are in. But I think a lot of people have forgotten what it's like to be a fan in the sense of if you're not on the right side of things. So, for instance, today, people are going on about, Amorim signed these players at United. Well, no, Ineos signed them. Oh, you're backing Ineos again. No, I'm not backing anybody. I'm just there's facts, if that makes sense. There are certain things that are facts, and we can't distort the facts to prop somebody else up or attack somebody with. But a lot of it stems down to people wanting to be right. And then when they start getting things wrong, they try and kind of manipulate it. Like I saw a United fan, do the same thing. This one was like, it's not unique to your football club, who did this thing where they were today going, yeah, but listen, Carrick's come in playing the exact same way as Ruben Amorim. It's just the players are working a bit harder now. And it's like, no, you're getting too far there, like, if that makes sense. And I do see it in the Chelsea fan base. I almost feel like you're 4 wins from 4. And there's a lot of Chelsea fans who don't seem to want to enjoy that you've won 4 games out of 4. And I notice it on the match reactions because the last time you guys won 4 games in 4 out of 5, you see people come on, a bit of chest, they're kind of buzzing. It's sort of, the emotion is very much like, does that? And I think it's because they thought it would be a bad appointment or they don't want to be seen as supporting Clearlake. And there seems to be this weird sort of feeling amongst Chelsea fans, like none of you really know what to do because you're not sure what the reaction of other Chelsea fans is going to be, if that makes sense. It's kind of a weird spot to be in where at the end of the day, you're going to support your club, and
like generally, I say it all the time. Who cares? Like this is when I say make Chelsea great again. It's not just about where we are as a club, but it's also a fan base issue. That's what actually inspired make Chelsea great again. It was about the fans in the stadium just being boring all the time, no atmosphere, etc. That's where it actually stems from. But as fans, I feel like everyone, like you said, spot on, is scared of everyone else's reaction. No one wants to, oh, I told you so. Oh, you're ucking the ownership. Oh, this and that. You're flip-flopping because you like Maresca. Like, who cares, bro? If my team's winning games, I don't care. Another thing that's been like the big complaint from the fan base, the Maresca guys, is, oh, the football's been awful. Oh, this isn't sustainable football because against Brentford, we kept the clean sheet. We beat them 2-0. That's our bogey team. Just a response to Twisted Baba. He said that we've been beaten out of form teams. Brentford was unbeaten in their last 6 games, 4 wins out of 5 coming into Chelsea, 4 wins in the bounce coming into the Chelsea game, and they're our bogey team. We beat them 2-0 at home, and everyone was talking about the performances. But then I'm looking at things like, I don't know, maybe I'm a younger fan. Obviously, I'm 25, but since when are Chelsea fans complaining about the performances over a win? Like, they didn't used to call us boring Chelsea. Like, the foundations of Chelsea wasn't to keep a clean sheet and just and hit teams on the counter attack, kick it long, Drogba holds the ball up, he passes that wide to a Malouda, and then there's a third man run from Lampard and we score smash and grab. That's what Chelsea's always been. I've rarely ever seen Chelsea win pretty. Maybe 09-10, Ancelotti, Diamond 4-4-2, Anelka, Drogba, Lampard in behind with Ballack, Essien and Deco. Them times, cool. That's the only season I'll say we played sexy football and we were winning. Every single season that I recall us winning, we never really played scintillating football. It was, it was defensively solid, and we were just ruthless on a counter attack. So when I'm seeing Chelsea fans now complaining, oh, you shouldn't be proud of this win because the performances weren't great, I'm thinking, are you guys crazy? Because these lot would ideally love to be in Arsenal's position. Arsenal's position, their performances haven't been the greatest. I can't think of any Premier League game where Arsenal have actually blown a team away. I know they had a good game against Leeds or Forest to start the season, but actually just blowing teams away, we haven't seen that often. But they're first in the league through winning games, even though they're not performing. The performances aren't beautiful. So I find it like it's a bit of like a double standard, to be honest with you. Like, you were winning games and you're crying about the performance, but we've won. I find that weird, especially when we're not like, who are we to be doing that when prior to the Brentford game we were 1-9 in the league? So we need all the 3 points we can get. I don't care how it's been done. With this top 4 race, I don't know if you've seen our last 10 games of the season. We've got United, City, Arsenal away, Villa away, Newcastle, Everton, Spurs, Sunderland away. Like, we need any 3 points we can get. Why are we complaining about winning ugly against Brentford? I think that's just weird. Same again against Crystal Palace. Like, what's the argument now?
No, I get you. Right? Look, I do get this comment here that says some Chelsea fans are keeping their powder dry, and that's because some are balanced, if that makes sense. I think there is a big mixture out here, but I do agree with what you said by and large. And me and KJ have had this conversation many a time, just off camera, about fan content. It's why I think previews as a content for most channels is just like the average now, because everybody just sort of, I've always been a bit of a fence sitter because I don't like tempting the football gods. I'm like that in everything in life. Even if I think something's going to be a slam dunk that's going to happen, I don't say anything until it's actually happened. That's just my way. But I think a lot of people are like, oh, I'm not going to say that because I'm going to get cooked if it doesn't happen, or I'm not going to praise Liam Rosenior's wins or praise this because if we then lose the next couple of games, then I'm going to get cooked for it. And I think everybody's sort of nervous of it. My advice is just say what you think and ignore the noise, because you get stick whether you're right or whether you're wrong. Same as you could have a team that wins a treble and they'll still get stick from rivals. You can't get rid of it. I think you've got to ignore the noise on that, to be absolutely honest with you. I think you do. But look, there are elements of your performances that have got to improve. But you know what? The difference in the last 3 or 4, I was thinking about it a lot last night in prep for this show, and I'm thinking, yeah, I criticised your first half yesterday. I thought it wasn't at the level. I think you need to be better on the ball, barring Esteval's goal, which was amazing. But you know what? In the previous 7 or 8 games, when you weren't at your best, you were drawing and losing and you're getting wins, and that is a positive sign. And it doesn't mean you've got to grow, but I think sometimes we live in this world where I'm only going to praise it when it's perfect or when it's done. And until then, I'm just going to be miserable. And I just sort of sit there and I agree with you. But you said, if that's your outlook on football, I think it's the wrong. You need to do something else. You need to be watching movies because they're completed, right? The film's done. You know, it's just kind of a weird thing with football that most teams are not the finished article at any one time. Teams build into that, and then you might get it for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, and then there's sort of a journey again to getting back to that level. That's how football's always been. This seems to be maybe it's the Instagram generation where everything's like, no, everything's got to be perfect every day, every minute, or I'm not going to be happy. That's just never how life is, and you've got to learn to just get on when things aren't quite perfect, and you can enjoy a win of a match. Like I had people yesterday, Terry, don't get carried away with a win. What do you mean? I'm going to have a glass of champagne. I'm going to celebrate. I'm going to laugh at my Arsenal mates for a couple of days. Fuck off. I don't care that we're not as good as, you know what I mean? And you get Warwick Trophy, that's your cup final. You're just saying that because you're hurt, because you lost the game. Enjoy it, football fans. Stop. And the maddest part is, some of it is down to us as content creators, as a collective, because there are a lot of YouTubers who are so negative every minute of every day, even when their team's winning. They tell everyone to shut up and don't celebrate. The celebration police. I'll only celebrate when we're winning. All that nonsense is what's led to this, and we've got to push back against it. Enjoy your wins. Enjoy your moments. Things are not going to be perfect all the time in football. I think we've got to learn. To be better for that.
You said about celebration police, yeah. The two critiques, yeah, that I always get. Well, I mean, it's not always. I get one critique all the time. Is, CB, you was dancing in the stadium and celebrating when you won the Club World Cup. That's the Wayne shot. And it's the same thing Don says to me. Oh, how can you get onto Blue Core when the way the club's been run when you celebrated the Club World Cup, so you love the model? And I'm like, wait, so we're not fans no more. So this is like I can't. That's my main critique nowadays is that you used to sue Arsenal because of the clip that went viral. But I don't like it. We have to police our celebrations. And what's happening with Chelsea as well is, I don't know if you guys have a similar issue, because you also signed a lot of players which didn't work out for you guys as well in the past. So you might relate to this. But our fans have become a rival. If I tweet anything positive about any player that is not one of the fan favorites, Esteban, Reece James, or Caicedo, I get Chelsea fans in my mentions. You've been bought. Oh, you meant to make Chelsea great again. It's fraudulent. Why are you gassing these dead players? This and that. I'm like, bro, I've never seen a fan base get so irritated with their own fans rating a player. Like, for example, I think Robert Sanchez has been probably top 2 players of the season this year. I say it all the time. Like that's one thing that people hate about me in terms of my players' ratings, because I think Sanchez has been top this season. Majority of Chelsea fans will say to me, "You're a fraud. Your standards are in the mud, this and that." It's a fact, though. If I mention the fact that I think Gittins should start over the Garnacho and Neto, you rate Gittins, he's dead food. This and like, we are the only fan base. I don't know, maybe because you guys have actually bought a lot.
No, bruv. We do exactly the same thing. I can relate. I've had it. Now you and I see Conor Gallagher differently, but let's just remove that element of the subjectivity. My claim was, I don't want Man United wasting money on players that I think don't move the needle. Now, that's a statement you would expect most people to agree with, right? You don't want Chelsea spending money on players that you don't think improve the team. Why would you?
Yeah.
People have said to me, "You're an Ineos supporter." Why? Because you're advocating not buying players. No, you thicko. I'm advocating not buying average players.
Yeah, and they use the line of, we need just to sign any midfielder because we need bodies to get top 4. We get linked to Loftus-Cheek and Wilfred Ndidi. It's a disgrace. Why are we linked to these bum players? So what was it? Was it any player it matters? Any player comes in and improves us? Or is it actually we shouldn't be signing players that won't improve us? They can't pick a lane because they've got an agenda.
Are you guys down to transfer signings now? Like, when players come in, even if I think I used to rate you prior to coming in, I'm so numb because I've seen so many guys who are expected a lot from flop. So now when we get linked to players, or there's briefs from Austin or all of these stuff, I don't feel anything. I don't expect nothing. It's weird. Obviously, you guys have seen stars come to your team and flop. Like Sancho at the time, what he was. Ronaldo, his return, obviously got 17 league goals. But you guys, Pogba, Ibrahim, you guys have brought superstars to your team and not got the job done. Lukaku. How did it, like, are you over it now when you hear about these midfielder links and Ndidi, Loftus-Cheek?
No. I mean, for me, it's one of these things. It's knowing our history. So a lot of the stars that we signed, so Alexis Sanchez as an example, Angel Di Maria, we didn't sign them for the right reasons. They only came because we threw stupid money at them. They didn't even want to be Man United players. Our biggest problem, even some of the names, like Casemiro's had a good time at United, but it wasn't what we actually needed as a player, and we never put next to him what was required. Equally, we'd buy players for a certain manager, like we'd get Jose, we got in Pogba, and we got Zlatan, but then the next manager that comes in may not necessarily like or want those players because we have no strict direction that we're going in. So it's always like it isn't a squad rebuild. It was every time we sacked a manager, it was like a brand new club rebuild all over again because we kept on allowing the managers to dictate what and how we were going to play, and that subsequently changed. I'm always an advocate for buying better players because even if you've got a crap manager, when you've got a really good squad, you'll still be okay, if that makes sense, because your players can kind of get you through in certain moments in games. But at the same time, it does make me keep my feet on the ground where I'm like, oh wow, we're not if we could play really good football like the last 2 games for a year or so, where you go, right, that's consistent, then better players would make me more excited in that regard. But I do prefer the way we're recruiting now under Ineos compared to when Woodward was running the show. And I do feel like the majority of our signings under them have been quite good. There've been a few duds, but there always is. But I'm quite impressed with how we're recruiting, who we're recruiting. And I think what was letting us down, where we couldn't see the wood for the trees in that improvement, was Amrim's coaching wasn't good enough. Because as much as I still think the squad's average to good, and I want it to go from that to being good to world class, I want to go to that kind of category and range. Because you're never going to have a squad that's fully world class. You're always going to have squad players that are just good. That's natural. We need better recruitment. But I think even with this squad, we should be winning more games than that. But the problem is in the United fan base, it's either one or the other. It's either the manager, the squad's great, and the manager was ruining it, or the squad's awful and the manager's being held back. And that's why I never sided with the inners or the, because they're both idiots. It was somewhere in the middle, and nobody wants to. As soon as you start talking about that middle ground, you're hated by both sides. It's a bit like politics. You get those people that are like in the middle, the left and the right hate them, and you're like, well, that's because that's where the normal people are. All the normal people are in the middle. It's the loud minorities on either side that actually muddy the waters, and we've got to do a better job of metaphorically eradicating them, because they just don't help the conversation because they're too far one way, 100%. So.
But I think what you guys have done well this transfer window, like for example, your goal scorers today, Mbumo, Cunha, you did what your usual DNA of United, like the Alex era, is you bought from the best players within the league that weren't really in the big 6 clubs, and you built off them. I think Chelsea need to go back to that. Like Chelsea have never won the league without a white centre back or a centre back black. You know what I'm saying? We don't have an Englishman running around in midfield. We ain't got an African striker. This is just the fundamentals that you need to win at Chelsea, which we don't have. You guys have gone back to your basics and you've improved. Like, you've had a good window.
Yeah, and if you look at the midfielders we're targeting, it's again Wharton, Belieber, Anderson, players within the Premier League who can have the energy and the technical ability to do what we need to do. So this is what I have not been on Ineos's back as much as other people, because I'm like, I understand that it's going to take way longer than 2 years to fix everything wrong with this club. And they've made big mistakes, but I can see that they're trying to implement something in the recruitment. They just need to get better at hiring managers. When we start winning games, when we get that, people will might be like, oh, actually, I see what they're trying to do. They just faltered at the early stages, which happened with all ownerships. Happened with yours and where it currently is now. Happened with KSE when they fully took over. Happened with FSG. It happens with everybody.
Yeah, no, I agree. Great win for United. Arsenal played poor offensively, but United were clinical and efficient. I absolutely agree with you, bro. Look, I want to thank everyone who's tuned into the show today. A big shout out to each and every single one of you. This is going to redirect you to Dom Hassam's channel, so please go and support him over there. We're back tonight for the Top 6 show at 6 p.m. Until next time, take care, goodbye, God bless, and we're going to see you all soon.